Now, another theme about the US involvement in this conflict in the Middle East is apparently this split amongst conservatives about the extent and for how long the US is involved. So there was a piece in the Australian media this week titled Trump's base backs his war as long as he keeps the peace. Does this sum up the sentiment?
So, Caroline, I have to be candid. This is a very common sentiment, by the way. This is not just in Australia. The American media has been reporting much the same thing over and over again. We hear about this alleged. There's a rift, they say, in MAGA. There's a crushing divide within MAGA. I'm not buying it because the polling, frankly, does not necessarily hold it up there. So, for instance, there was a CBS News poll, CBS News, one about as major a pollster here in the U.S. as a guest. There was a CBS News poll maybe about a week ago, just after the Operation Midnight Hammer strikes inside Iran, showed that 94% of self-identified MAGA Republicans support President Trump's strikes. Literally only 6% object there. Now, it's very loud 6%. It's very vocal 6%. Tucker Carlson is probably the most prominent member of this 6% there, but it's still ultimately, at the end of the day, only 6%. And this kind of gets to what I refer to as the Trump doctrine of foreign policy. I think a lot of people hear America first, and they immediately think that we're talking here about a hardcore isolationist mentality where America simply does not get involved in foreign affairs. But anyone who was paying any attention to Donald Trump's first term in office knows that's not his foreign policy there. Donald Trump is still the same guy who took out Qasem Soleimani, the Iranian arch-terrorist, in 2020. He took out the founder of ISIS, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the year prior. He was very tough on Russia when it comes to missile defense. And on we go there. So Donald Trump is not an isolationist. He's also not a moralistic George W. Bush-era neoconservative. He is a nationalist and a realist, but he's not afraid to strike out in overwhelming, powerful fashion to defend the concrete core American national interest, with the big caveat that after that, he wants to get the heck out and not send in the nation building crusades there. That's exactly what happened in Iran. It was a smashing success, and that's why 94% of MAGA Republicans support it.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you for that. Definitely improved my understanding on that point. Now, we understand Florida is building a detention centre for undocumented migrants. It's been dubbed Alligator Alcatraz. It appears to be working politically very well for DeSantis. There is some blowback. Take a look at this.
Wherever your spiritual place is, find it in your hearts to pray for these people who are lost so that they can become human beings again. Because if they're human beings again, this will stop.
There's always a protest, but you know, this is what people in the US voted for. What is the broader sentiment in Florida around the construction of this detention centre?
Well, I do live in Florida. I live not too terribly far from the Everglades, which is where Alligator Alcatraz is going to be constructed there. Look, this is a brilliant move by our amazing Governor Ron DeSantis, our amazing young Attorney General James Uthmeyer, who was formerly the governor's chief of staff. Now he's our Attorney General there. They're working hand in glove to get this thing up and running there. They're trying to do a number of things, but the number one thing that they're trying to do, Caroline, is to establish Florida as the red state that is most willing, able, and eager to assist President Donald Trump, to assist DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, to assist our so-called border czar, Tom Homan, in effectuating what Tom Homan has referred to as the largest mass deportation operation in the history of the United States there. Once upon a time, Florida was a swing state. This is the state that decided the 2000 presidential election. Once upon a time, Florida was a state actually that, although people here didn't want to talk about it, there were a lot of corporations that benefited from illegal alien labor. All of that has changed under Governor DeSantis. Governor DeSantis is many things. He's a brilliant leader, a brilliant statesman. He's also very, very tough on the illegal immigration issue there. And he leads by example because the sentiment in this state has followed Ron DeSantis there. Again, this is a state that once upon a time was pretty split down the middle on the illegal immigration issue. But as DeSantis has just led through his rhetoric and his policies and just the way that he sets an example there, the people of Florida have followed. But again, I think the goal is really to establish Florida as the nation's leading red state, dare I say, perhaps even more so than Texas, which once upon a time was the nation's most iconic red state. But regardless of how you split it, whether it's Texas, Florida, Tennessee, Arizona, whatever it is there, this is very healthy red state competition. Basically, red states essentially trying to out-conservative each other, all trying to kind of win, you know, the ultimate favorable glance of President Donald Trump. It's a very healthy competition, I think.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your insights, Josh Hammer.